Hey, Stephen here with Coping with COVID. 15-minute power podcast, powerful guest, and powerful message worth sharing. It's the only show where in about 15 minutes, we're going to figure out together how we're going to stay as positive and present as possible during COVID times. Before we begin today's episode, please help me out. I want everyone, yes, everyone listening right now, to press that share button and post this on your timeline for three key reasons. First, you may know someone who will benefit or wants to come on the show themselves. Secondly, of course, it does generate more views for this project, but that ties into the most crucial reason. It supports the guest and their small business and their mission. And today, that is especially important. I'm thrilled to return to our original segment, Dining Behind the Mask. We haven't done one of those in a while. And we have a very special guest on the show today. Now, before I introduce him, let me tell you, how many of you know what the very first pizza place that ever existed in Aurora, Illinois was? Well, you may not think you know the answer to that, but I'm sure many of you are, in fact, familiar with this iconic community staple, Luigi's Pizza and Fun Center. That's right. Today we have the man himself, current owner Bill Poss, on the show. Bill, I'm so thrilled to have you. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your business.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. My name is Bill Poss. Luigi's Pizza has been in Aurora for 67 years. I've been in it for 39 years, and we've moved 3 different times. And the location I have now, we got a huge one. We took over an old grocery store, and we've got a 3-level laser tag. We've got an arcade with over 100 arcade games in there. You can win prizes and win tickets, and we have 4 mini bowling lanes in there. We got a bar, we got a huge dining room, and rooms to rent out for birthday parties and stuff. So I've been around. I love the business. I'm not tired of it, but we're starting to have some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I'll bet. And that's so important. You are the exact type of guest that I wanted to have on this type of podcast. So walk me through, we'll kind of start with the beginning here. Walk me through sort of the mindset and what was going on in March, right? I remember it was Friday the 13th. I was teaching in my classroom and we were rushing, putting packets to send home before any of the remote learning stuff was formally in place. And we had no idea what a Friday the 13th that was. And then I think March 15th is when the shutdown, or at least part of the shutdown with the restaurants started. And then I think if I remember correctly, nobody quote me on this, I think March 17th was the shelter in place order. But Bill, go ahead and walk me through sort of what happened for you on March 15th.
So January, February, and March are our best months in Aurora, Illinois, because it's cold out and snow and all that. So I have my best months there. We also were just starting St. Patrick's Day celebration. So we were going to go Friday through Tuesday on the 17th. And then all of a sudden, we're told we have to shut down. We have to close. We are shocked. Why do we have to close? Because of this virus that was going around. And it's mind-boggling that you're doing good business. Last year was my best year ever. A year ago, March was my greatest month ever in the history of my business in 39 years. And here I am, smack dab in the middle of March, and I'm told you have to close, like it or not. And that is so hard. You could see if you had to close because you have poor business, but when the government says you must close, we closed. We didn't know how long it was going to be. And we thought maybe a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but not like it was. And it's still not where it should be. We can't make any kind of money unless you're at least open 50%. My laser tag and game room was half of my revenue, and we're closed. We can't touch it. We can't use it. We can't do anything. Yeah, we were open for delivery and pickup, but that's only 15, sometimes 20% of our business, and that is it.
Yeah. Well, and something that I'll add to that, and you can correct me if I'm off on anything, but something that I'd like to add is I've talked to some other businesses, both big and small, And it's very interesting. So there's always been a range of responses, right? Now, a lot of pizza places, your pizza place it's different. It's not, I wouldn't put it in the same category as, because a lot of other pizza places, most of their business comes from pickup and delivery. And so for them, they might not have that same sort of severe adverse impact that you're going to have. But I do know, I would put your restaurant more in the category of typical types of restaurants where the main business is people coming in for the experience. And I've talked to some people, I won't name specific names, but I've talked to some people of different kinds of restaurants, and I've heard things like, oh, doing the curbside only, it's been 30%, 20%. And now that other people are doing, when it was outdoor dining, oh, it's probably going to go down to 10%. So for you, how has what number did you say? You said the pickup and delivery was only about how much of your business?
15 to 20% of our business. That's it.
Okay, so that pretty much goes in line with sort of what I've been hearing, just doing my own kind of informal anecdotal research on this. And for those of you listening, you have to understand that it's very hard for a restaurant, as Bill said, it's very hard for a restaurant to operate with a capacity limit. And that's why it's so important to support them during this time. Now, what is your current capacity limit right now? Now that we're in phase 4, your dining room's open, but what is the capacity limit, Bill?
We're only allowed 25% of capacity. So I have a dining room, 300. So we limit it to right around 60 people. That's it. 60 at one time can be in. We just started taking birthday parties, but we said, hey, we're only limited to 20 people. If you run a room, there's a couple rooms. I have a room that fits 100 and another one 75. You can have 30, 35 people in that party. That's it. That's all. Nothing else. And a lot of people like to bring, let's say, a 1-year-old birthday party. I mean, grandpa and grandmas from both sides come, the aunts, the uncles, the godparents, the kids, the children. And we're talking 50, 60 people that want to come to a first birthday party, but they can't come because we have to limit it to them. And that's what's hard.
Yeah, that's hard. And everybody that comes, it's always very difficult, having worked in the service industry myself. I actually worked in a high-end establishment, and I've learned that it really doesn't matter what kind of restaurant it is. People aren't necessarily going to be sensitive. In fact, they're likely not going to be sensitive of what you and your staff have to go through. I would say the majority of the time they come in with they want what they want, and they're not going to understand. And in the situation of you don't have a choice, right? We have to keep people safe. This is and this is the government restriction. You don't have a choice. But I imagine, you've probably had to deal with some, people that are frustrated about that. And that's definitely not an easy thing to do. What measures would you say, like if I were to go into your establishment right now, aside from the capacity limitation, what additional things have changed as far as what it used to be when it was fully open?
Okay, when you walk in now, you, the customer, have to have a mask on. No ifs, ands, or buts. When you eat and drink, you can take it off. When you go into the game room, you have to put in gloves, plastic gloves, and a mask. And that because you're going to be using buttons to push the games with and levers and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that nothing is transpired that way. Our employees are now wearing masks. When up at the front counter, they give you your food, they have to have plastic gloves on. They have to have a mask on. In a laser tag, same thing. You got to have gloves on. You got to have a mask on. And when you're playing laser tag, you get anxiety. You just don't really want to wear that mask, but we kind of say you got to. Then the other thing we do now is we have a sanitizer machine. It's a fogger. We go around every day and fog. So after we clean anything and everything, we go around, we make sure we disinfect it, everything. So every table, every game room, every laser tag, the vest, the bathrooms, the bar, the dining room, we just go around and sanitize that. It's costing me $15 to $20 a day more for all that. But in your budget, you don't put in another $7,000 disinfectant and stuff. That's not including the mask and the gloves, but it is an extra cost. So by the time at the end of the year, I'm going to be spending about $10,000 just on a mask, on gloves, on disinfectant. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it is an extra cost that you never ever thought you were going to have to put. And with that $10,000, you got to bring in $30,000 in sales just to pay for what I said in sales.
I am so glad that you. I'm so glad that you shared that. I appreciate your honesty. I want people who listen to this really understand that this is not a complaint, as Bill said. This is a reality check, because I really want people to understand and have an appreciation for it would be hard enough just to say 25 to 50% of your capacity after being closed, go ahead, open, good luck. Now, because of these sanitations, and they're great, don't get me wrong, it's very important. I take this very seriously, but you have to understand why I'm so all about sharing this and supporting these businesses, is because not only are they having to recover profits with limitations, they're also having to spend more, and they're having to make some serious changes, especially a place like Luigi's. There's a lot of high contact, high touch surfaces, so they're doing a really good job keeping their patrons safe. Now, Bill, I will ask you, I remember when I came to your establishment, I was in high school, and they had an incentive program that involved going there on a field trip. And I remember that there was a component of it where you would get to make your own pizza. Now, is that something, was that still part of the business, or is that on hold?
We can't, that's on hold. We can't do that. You can't have, certain foods out so you can, put pepperoni on and stuff like that. Even if you use gloves, it would stick to your glove most of the time. So we have to put that on hold. Even though your pizza is going to go through the oven at 500 degrees for 8 minutes, no germ is going to live. We still don't do it. We still can't.
Right. It's just one of those additional layers. And I remember it was, there was like the sink station. They would have people wash their hands first. It was executed very well. And
what a memory. Yes.
And the coronaviruses, not just SARS-CoV-2, the coronavirus right now, they're pretty weak in terms of their ability they can survive, for a couple days on certain things. But in terms of, there's soaps that kill it, even if it's not antimicrobial, because it's an enveloped virus. I was reading a study where they were experimenting with mask disinfection, and they tested a method involving a microwave and steam, and they actually don't test it with coronaviruses. They test it with the strongest, most resilient type of viruses, because they want to make sure it'll be effective for everything. And those viruses are a certain type of phage, bacteriophage, which a lot of people aren't familiar. It's a virus that almost looks like some kind of spider mastermind. It's really cool. It's harmless to humans. It kills bacteria. But I just kind of want to point that out to people, because if we can take the precautions, we don't have to be a victim to this. I just saw today that the Illinois cases topped 1,000, and it's hard to know, because there's always the lag factor, even in just the cases. And if this trend continues, I'm worried about what would happen if they shut down indoors again, if that got to the point where that was necessary. And I don't know, if it's restaurants, or if I would imagine it's probably more of the bar type situation that's impacting it more. But could you imagine having to shut down for a second time?
I tell you what, I'll be close to going out. In fact, it was 2 weeks ago that I was within 48 hours of closing up. I had applied for a small business loan. I got my PPP loan, my small business loan. That's the one that you get for 3.75% interest for 30 years. It's a really easy one to pay back. But you know what? I'm indebted for $150,000. $75,000 that went for the state's game, for liquor license, for the arcade license, for the stickers, for that part of just the gaming and licenses. And I bought 2 games in February, and it's a contract. I got to abide by them. They were delivered to me. So that was $32,000 in 2 new video games that we got. So I had $75,000 that went out the window. I got $75,000 to play with between now and somewhere in October. And that's where I don't know if I'm going to make it. If they close me down, you still got to pay your real estate license. You still got to pay these licenses for liquor license for the game room. You still got to pay for all that. And there's no, let's put it on at the end of your loan or your note. You still got to pay for it. And that's what's driving me nuts. How do you keep your employees employed? So
Right.
the good thing about the PPP, you got to keep your employees. You got to bring them back to work. And some of it was wasted, but we still got to keep them. And then, I lost 10 employees, so it's 10 employees left and they went somewhere else, or they didn't want to come in and help do the things that we were doing. So this is tough. This is the hardest thing I've ever been through. I've been through 3 recessions, but this, when you're told you must close, that's what's killing me.
Right, because it's so cut and dry. It's like immediately you're slammed by a wall that you didn't even see coming. And especially, I've commented on this before, it's like, one day I'm teaching students about how, I'm showing them a documentary, Lockdown in Wuhan, and I'm raising awareness. And, there's like, 13 to 15 cases in the US. And the next day it's like, boom, it's just suddenly here. And there was like some kind of lag in there, and there's different answers on that. I won't get into that here, but the problem when it comes to small businesses, especially restaurants, because they were the first to get told to shut down, well, we don't really see this coming, right? And I was talking to another restaurant, and they're a big chain, and they're going to do fine through this. I'm not saying they haven't lost money, but they're going to do fine because they're a big chain. And I was talking to them, and they were telling me that some of their employees have still not come back, and there's people that they might not be comfortable coming back. Some people might be worried about it. They may have found something else, like you said. But if you could share something as far as the mindset on how you can encourage your employees during this time, what would be one piece of advice you would give?
Well, every day we hear the numbers went up, went up, went up. That's okay. I don't mind if they go up, 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 up. Let's look at how many have died and how many have been hospitalized. Because if we're testing more, then you and I may have had it before. Maybe it is still out there. That's not a terrible thing, but let's just see at the bottom end what is happening. That's what fears me more than anything. I also think that if we don't get out and get immune to some of this, that our bodies are never ever going to fight this off. And you can wait for a cure. You can wait for that shot for next year, the end of this year, whenever it is. We can wait for all that, but you can't give that shot. You can't give that medicine to everybody in America right away. It's going to take months before they get immunized,
Right.
So
right.
that's the part. And some people don't want to come in because they're afraid that someone's going to bring this, bring that. And some parents, it's not really that bad, so it's hard to judge everybody. People take this thing a little bit differently.
Right. Everybody takes it a little bit differently. And I would say that in my own informal research, again, this is just my perception, it seems like it'd be better bet on having some effective drug treatments by the end of the year before a vaccine. I'll share this with you. I called another small business restaurant, again, not naming names, and they gave me the strictest, most conservative answer that I've ever received. And they said, because I actually called them to say, are you guys doing outdoor dining? And they said, no. And just so you know, we're not going to open anything beyond pickup until there's a vaccine. The owner made a decision. And, here's the thing. It may seem extreme, but if somebody can pull that off, right? If they're at a place where they could pull that off and that doesn't hurt their business, because most of their business likely came for pickup and delivery, but you can't apply that mindset, right? And I'm a very health anxious person. I take everything by the book with this, but even I understand that one size doesn't fit all. And a business like yours, you can't afford to do that. That's not going to work for you. If you just said, no, just pick up and delivery until there's a vaccine, what would that look like? Probably not, right?
No, I'm barely making it right now,
Right. So
If
that's
it wasn't
the
for
thing.
the PPP, I'd be closed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, you know?
Right, right. And that's what the listeners, I really hope they understand, is that we all have different comfort levels. And as long as we're not, certainly not putting anyone else in jeopardy, if we go and we agree, as the group, we want to do this, we take the precautions, Bill's team is going to do this very safely, then go support that business. A lot of people, it seems like people tend to be one extreme or the other. But the problem is, you can close and just do pickup and delivery if that works for your business model. But the big takeaway here for me is there's a lot of restaurants that are what I call experience-based, dine-in experience-based. Or in the case of Bill's business, it's dine-in, and it's not just dining behind the mask, it's having fun behind the mask, playing behind the mask, celebrating behind the mask. And that's just not going to work if you would just leave the dining room closed. So we are out of time for today on this episode, but Bill, go ahead and tell everybody how they can support your business, what options they have right now, and how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. Just call Luigi's Pizza. We have a website, luigispizzaandfuncenter.com. You can go on there. You can order online. We also we're selling frozen pizzas now, 6 for each, 2 for $10. We also have these pizza kits. So if you got a hot day or a rainy day or whatever, you can buy these pizza kits and you get up to 3 items on it. We do the crust for you, do everything like that. We even have a video that shows how to make them. You take them home, you make the pizza, you slide them in the oven on this parchment paper. And then when it's done after 13, 14 minutes, you take it back out and you made your own pizza. It's a lot of fun. It's something the family can do, and everybody makes their own pizza. So the little things like that help. And, having delivery and pickup. We are open now, but, oh boy, I'm starting to hear through the grapevine, we may be shutting down the road here a little bit or not going above, phase 4. So, but yeah, anything we can do to help, that's great. Also on Luigi's, we have a GoFundMe program going on right now. And this is not for right now. This is for, I think, if we close down, this is for the end of September and October, because I've already put 55,000 into it. I'm done with all the extra funds I have. So if you go online and help me with that, would be great. I'm not here to beg, but I'm here to say, let's save this business from going down the tubes. And I just thank you for letting me come on and offer my opinion and say what there is really like out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people need a perspective check, a reality check, all of the above. Bill, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Everybody listening, please, once again, I know I'm a broken record. Please press that share button. I want to see this on your timeline because that's going to help Bill out. And I really want you to hear his story. I want other small businesses, right? That's something him and I discussed before recording. I want other small business owners to hear this too, because the more mindsets and perspectives that we can put together, that's how we're going to beat COVID-19 together. So
yes.
Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Absolutely. And please tune in next time to Coping with COVID.